Hey, wrestling fans. Welcome to One Winged Wrestling, where we help you navigate the complex world of pro wrestling, bringing you the best matches, world class wrestlers, and news you can count on. At One Winged Wrestling, we bring the elite to you. My name is Bill Cutbush, and Krishna Denai has been detained. No, not at the border. He's been detained, perhaps in the closet again. I don't know. His boss seems to own a very heavy closet, maybe a cat of nine tails. I don't know. Anyway, he is still stuck and will be joining us shortly, I presume, on this very rainy, gray spring day in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, which, for those of you who don't know, is just a suburb of Toronto. Anyway, let's see. This is Monday, and we are doing our weekly wrestling show. And what we do on the show is we will go through some of the news of the week. We're going to, when Krishna gets here, he'll be giving us his AEW Roundup. He might have a Denies dirt sheet where we look at some rumors. I'm going to give you the report from Japan again, as always, looking at some New Japan and Stardom this week. We're going to give our Wrestler of the Week and our Matches of the Week, not necessarily in that order as well. But yeah, we've got a pretty busy show today. I am going to skip the opening story until Krishna gets here because, I want him to be here to talk about it. Anyway, we will be talking about CM Punk and his comments and Dave Meltzer and some stuff he said today as well. But we will be getting to that. But I'm going to start off with some news and notes from around the wrestling world. And the first one is a quick note on Jamie Hayter. Now, may have noticed Jamie Hayter was not on TV last week, and it's kind of odd because she's in the middle of a feud. They really only had Sky Blue and her two, Riho and Willow, come out to rescue her on Dynamite. There was no sign of Britt Baker or Jamie Hayter, and the reason Hayter was off TV last week was due to a visa issue. So they're working that out right now. She's currently back in England. She may or may not be back this week as well. She could still be in England for Dynamite, but there's been nothing announced with her, so I think it's safe to presume this will go on for at least another week. But hopefully they'll get it worked out soon, and Jamie Hayter can return. But yeah, she's not injured or anything like that. It's just a visa issue, and these seem to happen with talent that are not from the United States. A quick update on Will Ospreay's injury. Meltzer reported that Ospreay said that he will be approximately 4 to 6 weeks recovering from the shoulder injury that he's got. This, of course, puts him back in tons of time for Forbidden Door 2, as well as the New Japan Dotanko show and the G1. So hopefully Ospreay will be back and able to participate in all of those things because that would be pretty awesome. Of course, we're really hoping he's back in time for Forbidden Door because, that will be kind of awesome. It's in Toronto, in case you guys haven't been listening to Christian and I go on and on about it recently. Yeah, let's go, Will. Kota Ibushi. He is finally getting back in the ring. He's got 2 matches coming up. These will be his first matches since blowing out his shoulder in the 2021 G1 tournament. Koto will be facing the main one of note. He'll be facing Joey Janela at Joey Janela's Spring Break on WrestleMania weekend on March the 31st. That should be pretty interesting. It's nice to see he's doing some of these shows around WrestleMania weekend, and him against Joey Janela should be a heck of a match. Well, guess what, guys? Krishna's still not here yet, and I have run out of news and notes, so I may just have to talk about stuff all by myself. So let's see. Well, CM Punk. Let's get going on this, shall we? I'm hoping Krishna will show up while I'm talking about this because I know for a fact he's got a ton to say. So, CM Punk posted a rather controversial statement on Instagram on March 23rd, in which he continued, well, basically to bury AEW. He was apparently replying to a comment on Dave Meltzer's message board, in which Dave replied to a comment about the Punk Moxley build for All Out 2022. Meltzer said, and I quote, "Do you know why they didn't advertise Punk versus Moxley longer and why it had a short build? Because Punk agreed to it. Then AEW got a legal letter saying he wasn't down with it and wasn't doing it, and they didn't know if he'd come out until Tony put his foot down. There are a lot of nice things I can say about him, and you can absolutely argue his position on Moxley was correct, but you can't argue he willingly did what he was asked in that scenario. Punk seemed to respond on his Instagram, and he said this, and I'm going to quote this as well. Sigh. I wasn't cleared to come back to wrestle yet. Then the plan was to wrestle at the pay-per-view. I sat and listened to Moxley's Rocky 3 idea. I explained how I'd never seen a Rocky movie, and I thought the idea sucked, but if the boss wanted to do it, whatever. And then he said he wouldn't lose to me. I'd never experienced someone refusing to lose to me. I just laughed. I asked Tony if this was what he wanted. He said yes. He's the boss, so I said okay, but I'd need to be cleared first. They kept saying it could just be a squash, so I didn't need to be cleared. I scoffed at that. My health is more important. Dave Meltzer is a liar. Chris Jericho was a liar and a stooge. There were plans, but plans always change. But I'll never put a company above my health ever again. He almost instantly deleted the post. So it was only up for a brief time, but people caught it. And anyway, it's not a good look. It's at a time when Punk seemed to be perhaps beginning to smooth things over again with AEW. Oh, and look, the man shows up just in time.
I heard you talking about CM Punk, so I decided to join in.
I tried to delay it as long as I could. I ran through all the other news and notes, but his boss finally let him out. What a freaking miracle. You got to have that talk with that boss of yours, dude.
No, it wasn't even him. It wasn't even him. It was just other people at work. Other people. I gotta tell you, I don't know.
Yeah, see, you've got to learn that 5 o'clock when you're done work, you just click the goodbye button and
I know.
done. But anyway, yeah, I just went through the whole, which I'm sure you have heard and seen it, but Meltzer's original message board post and CM Punk's comment. And well,
did you
read
the comment from CM Punk?
Yeah, I did. I read the comment.
Okay.
And it ended with Dave Meltzer's a liar, Jericho's a liar and a stooge. There were plans, but plans always change, etc. And then the fact that it was instantly deleted. And I was about to start commenting, but why don't you go ahead?
It's one of those things where like everyone has been hyping CM Punk's return, and there was a certain point where I thought, hey, you know what, cooler heads will prevail. Basically, like this is gonna get blown over. I'm like, okay, CM Punk's gonna be back in AEW very shortly. And then the Meltzer report or whatever came out, and apparently that triggered something in CM Punk where he absolutely lost his mind yet again. This is a bad look on him. This is not a bad look on anybody but CM Punk. And I don't know if he understands that. Like the one thing that really stuck out to me, the fact that Jon Moxley didn't want to lose to him. I almost laughed when I saw that. I'm like, Jon Moxley, the guy who like does anything anyone says, didn't want to lose to you. Okay, let me guess. Jericho didn't want to lose to you either, because I'm pretty sure he put over 2 like young guys recently, right? Yeah. So the fact that he came out, first of all, once again buries the company. Tony Khan's making these decisions. They're putting him in this squash match. He didn't like the Rocky angle because he hasn't seen Rocky, and I'm like, okay, whatever. But still, he thought it was stupid. So just because he thought it was stupid, apparently it was stupid, right? But and remember, we questioned that match. We're like, wow, that was such a odd match.
Yeah, I was at that time. I was pretty like, what the hell's going on? They bring him back from his injury and they just squash him in 2 seconds.
But then he had that big thing with Ace Steel. He hypes the crowd up, ends up and goes in and wins the match.
And by the way, beat Jon Moxley. Let's keep in mind that the very next match he had with Jon Moxley, he beat Jon Moxley because Jon Moxley refuses to lose to CM Punk.
Yeah, like everything he says almost contradicts himself, right? And then Jon Moxley. So let me get straight. Jon Moxley didn't want to lose to you, but the angle was to put you over because Jon Moxley was technically the bad guy in that scenario. Right? I'm so confused. Anyways, so hearing that, listening to his comments again, I'm like, at this point, what's Tony gonna do? Right? Because there were apparently there have been talks between Tony Khan and CM Punk. Obviously, there was the whole buyout report that Meltzer had reported on a while back and stuff like that. It could have been that, but it kind of seemed for the past couple weeks, CM Punk was finally level-headed, right? Like he had that post about like, I think it was the Hogan or I forget the post he put up where they were talking about 2 wrestlers who had fought and they had
that was out of a book he was reading. It was Jerry Lawler's company.
Yes, Jerry Lawler's. Yeah. And they settled the guys down. They had a discussion, and he's like, "That's all it takes is a conversation or something like that." So it kind of seemed like, wow, CM Punk is actually seems like he wants to come back. He wants to go to AEW. And then that post hit. I could not believe it. When I started seeing the reports on it, I thought, no, this is not real. But then everyone had screenshots, right? It was on his Instagram. And it was, if you're typing that much, you're thinking out this entire thing. So at any point, you can stop and say, you know what, I'm not going to post this. But you posted it. I wonder if he actually decided to take it down, or if he was told to take it down by Tony Khan and their legal department.
I'm I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt on this
Okay.
one
All
because
right.
I think that he probably put it up and then cooled off and went, "Oops, I probably shouldn't have put that up," and then took it down. And then Chris Jericho responded with the delete meme. But
Yeah. Yeah.
but,
It's one of those you literally just call Chris Jericho a stooge.
stooge,
A
stooge.
stooge. Really? And you want back. Chris Jericho's already called you a cancer. No, and here's the thing. The reports of Chris Jericho calling him cancer, Chris Jericho's never come out and admitted to that at
No.
all. It's all reports. Right? So you know what? People can say what they want. No, Chris Jericho never came out and said that.
Right.
Now, CM Punk has come out and called Chris Jericho a
Right.
stooge, right? He's put down Jon Moxley. What else is he gonna do? Like, what else is he? Sean Ross Sapp and Fightful, they wrote a whole article on this. Apparently, they're saying after after the brawl out from All Out, um, Punk and Omega had a little conversation, and they were trying to, like, because remember Omega, that was he had just come back, really, right? So he didn't know
Yep.
anything that's happened from the time he was injured, or he just didn't care. So apparently Punk had said what the call outs of the EVPs and stuff like that were really not directed at Omega. So obviously directed at the kids from Reseda, right? As he put it. But like regardless, like it seemed like he was trying to, like, I don't know what he was trying to do. Like he thought what he said was not as bad as as it sounded.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. I mean, he trashed the company in a way that
Trashed it.
although AEW sometimes insults itself unwittingly in its promos and things, it they've never done anything like that. That was burying AEW, and like the original Brawlout stuff was burying AEW on a level I've never heard someone take a company down before with the manager of the company sitting
See,
right
and
next to him.
that's it, right? So like, I go back to Tony Khan for a second, and well, I have to remember Tony Khan is a billionaire. This guy is not stupid, right? And I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure Tony Khan's paying these contracts. I don't think he was very happy at that outburst. He didn't say anything, but I think he was just like a deer caught in headlights. He didn't know what to do at that point, right? So he jumped in when he could. He said what he could, but I'm pretty sure that didn't sit well with him. The whole berating by Punk, right? So when it came back to like the whole choosing, and there was this whole thing about, is he going to choose? I'm pretty sure he had his mind made up already about what route he was going down. He was just trying to clear up like the amount of money that was owed to CM Punk and so forth, right? So I already had that. Like, I strongly believe that Tony Khan really was like on the verge of just getting rid of Punk. I think that he want, like, he was like, with this whole thing with Punk coming back, it was really on Punk. Like he had to make things right. There was no way I was thinking that the Bucks had to apologize and blah blah blah. No, you have an entire locker room that's divided because of you, right? Now it could be 60-40 split or whatever, because FTR and Ricky
90-10.
Starks, or 90-10, who knows? Maybe that, right? But like, how could okay, so first of all, I think the CM Punk thing is put to rest now. He ain't coming back. That's it. This is over with. Let's move on, people. Like, I can't believe he did what he did. He did it twice. If you're Triple H or whomever running the show at WWE now, do you want that kind of stuff? Right? But hey, that's WWE. So the answer is probably yes. They do want that kind of stuff. But it's just, I'm still shocked at what happened, because it seems surreal. Everything had calmed down. It got to the point where we're like, we're done with Brawl Out. I'm so sick and tired of talking about Brawl Out. Now no one's talking about Brawl Out anymore. They're talking about the stupid Instagram post that again trashed the company. put down its top stars, and what does it do? What does it do
Mhm.
to for CM Punk, right? He deletes it
Right.
right after. Hey, if you meant it, leave it up.
Yeah,
Leave
but
it
I
up.
mean, if he had a reflection on what that was a really bad idea, and I do feel bad about it, and then took it down. I mean, you're allowed to have regrets,
Oh yeah,
right?
you're out to have
And,
regrets, but
and
there
I'm
are
not defending what
consequences,
CM
right?
Punk put in that post. I mean, his
Yeah.
regrets should have come before he posted it,
Hmm.
not after. Sure, write it down if you're really pissed. I mean, here's the thing, right? Meltzer actually came out today and said he feels really bad because it was a response to something that he never even needed to write. It was on his message board. This wasn't even a news article,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, and he said something to the effect of, he feels bad about making the post because of all the destructive stuff that happened since. He says he didn't need to make the post. He also left out the injury part of it. And he goes, that was part of it. Punk was injured and he was concerned. And that
Hmm.
was part of the reason that he was so hesitant and the build was so short. And he said he didn't even put it in context, right? And because he was just posting, it wasn't meant to be a news article, so he didn't do it like a news article.
Hmm.
And he feels bad about it. He says, like, this point, he wishes he hadn't posted it, period, because of all the destruction that's happened since. Right now, again, he can't control CM Punk's reaction, and he was just posting. But I mean, I get it, right? Like Meltzer feels bad about it because like, he feels like now he's caused both of these incidents indirectly. Because the first one, right? He was the one talking about like the rumbles backstage and the Bucks and blah blah blah, right? And I mean, he said that he never came out and said it wasn't the Bucks that told me this, because it wasn't. And he said that unequivocally multiple times since. I did not get this information from the Bucks,
Yeah.
right?
Alvarez
But
came out and
CM
said the same
Punk
thing.
blamed
Yeah.
the Bucks. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Alvarez came out and said the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So here's what I
Mm-hmm.
think about that. If you're CM Punk and you are legitimately trying to get back into this company,
Mm-hmm.
you see this post, you're
Yep.
bothered by it. Why would you not just call Tony Khan and say, "Hey, look what's posted here.
Yep.
You need to connect with whomever this is giving this information out because it's not true or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them to remove it."
Okay. Or be like a lot of wrestlers and just send Dave Meltzer a little message and go, "Hey man, did you mean this stuff? I mean, you
Yeah.
you want to talk about this with me because I think you're missing some of the context or
No,
whatever, right?"
but but
And then
you got to
Meltzer could have
remember,
posted
Punk is still mad at all the dirt sheets and all the wrestling writers because
mm,
he blames them for the whole Cole Cabana stuff. So he doesn't want to reach out to them, right?
yeah. Well, I mean, again, if you yeah, I mean, I get that he doesn't want to, because you're right. As I said back in the original incident, he's still seething with
Hmm.
resentments over something that is long gone. Right, like that's kind of the problem, is he's clinging to his resentments and then
Hmm.
he reacts emotionally
Yeah,
every time something happens, and I could see that being really hard to deal with in a locker room,
yeah.
because the minute he's mad about something, he's going to come out swinging
Hmm.
every time and then have his regrets afterwards. Right now, I don't know that for a fact. I don't know CM Punk, you know but the way he reacts on social media, the way he reacted that day at Brawl Out, that tells me something about the content of his character currently. When it comes to reacting to things, I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I know he's done lots of great things. I know he's probably a pretty good guy 98% of the time. He just has this flaw where something happens and he comes out swinging. So yeah, I mean, Meltzer also pointed out too that and I liked this. He kind of said here's the only reason that you would bring Punk back to AEW, period. Right. And you remember he's been saying the whole time it's highly unlikely he's
Hmm.
coming back. And here's his reasoning on that. You bring him back if AEW is struggling for survival and you need him to like bring the company back. They're not struggling for survival. If AEW is in danger of losing their television deal, which they are not. I mean, Warner Brothers Discovery is adding more programs, right? If he apologizes for what happened and the
Yeah.
majority of the talent believes he is truly sorry, this has not happened. Or enough time passes that wounds are healed without an apology, also hasn't happened yet. So right now, currently in the current environment, there's no reason to bring him back. And the old reasons, like in the 80s, when you'd be able to say, when all the guys got a cut of the gate, right? Or
Yeah.
then of course the guys would be like, oh, we're gonna make so much more money if we have CM Punk. None of the guys, they're all on fixed contracts. They don't
Yeah.
give a damn if Punk's there or not. They're gonna make the exact, well, I mean, for storyline purposes, maybe, but when it comes to the amount of money they're making, the only one standing to benefit
Tony.
from bringing Punk back is Tony Khan.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, or maybe for the longevity of the company over time or something, right? Which can indirectly benefit the wrestlers, but they have no direct monetary benefit to bring Punk back. So there's so few reasons to bring the guy back right now anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
unless he goes and apologizes.
And that ain't happening because his ego is bigger than most, right? And that's it. Like it's one of those things where it's like, was that even worth it? I get it. You're hot headed. This happens, but you just probably spoiled any chance you had with getting back in this company. And if you're Tony Khan at this point, really,
Yep.
like, what are you good? Like, you have other things to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
You've got people to sign that you actually want to be in the company.
Yep.
Like think about it. If you're Jericho, if you're Moxley,
Yeah.
if this guy comes back, how does that help you in any way?
Well, that's what I mean, right? Like what's the also, can we take a brief moment to point out one, I know he doesn't look at much social media because I've read his book. Two, John Moxley didn't say a
Nothing.
word.
What's he gonna say?
Yeah,
What's he
well, I
gonna
mean,
say?
probably because he's like, who gives a
Yeah, exactly. He's
So,
probably like, if Punk wants to say something, let him say it to my face.
who
If
cares?
not, then
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, who
Yeah,
cares?
who cares? Who
Right?
cares? And I mean, ultimately, who cares anyway? Because it's all just a bunch of crap online. I mean, it's stuff you and I get to talk about and have a good time with, but I mean, ultimately, how
It's
does it affect his wrestling career?
it does it, and
It
that's the thing. Like
doesn't.
these two, like Moxley and Jericho, just
Yeah.
signed long-term contracts for
Yeah.
this company.
And both are class acts.
Like Tony Khan has made his decision already. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is such a non-issue. It's just
Yep.
stupid because it happens like right when you thought, oh my god, things might actually be getting better for these guys.
Yep.
Nope. Like every wrestling outlet's been talking about this. Like
Mm-hmm.
non and everyone's come back to the same like opinion. He doesn't need to be there.
No,
That's
and,
it.
and that's just it. I mean, again, I'm going to have the exact same reaction to this that I did with the other stuff. Okay, this just proves I don't need CM Punk in A&W in A&W AE. I don't need him in my local A&W either.
A and W.
AEW, and yeah. I mean, look, I have no hatred of CM Punk. I hope he gets
No.
his stuff together. Like I said before, I mean, I really hope he can get through all these issues with resentments he clearly has, and move past it all, and wrestle because he's such a good wrestler. Go wrestle. Just enjoy wrestling, because man, and that's what I hope. Like look, we had that insane match on Dynamite this week, and this is
Mhm.
what we're talking about.
I know. I know. The day right after, I was like, what the hell
Mm-hmm,
happened?
mm-hmm,
I could not believe it. And of course, like I don't know, again, he posted it, deleted it, maybe, but he had to have known people caught that. You have
mm-hmm.
to know what you're posting. And yeah, you're right. Like, I mean, I think Jericho's response with delete, right, was enough. That was
Yep.
everything that needed to be said.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure like him, Mox, Tony, like they've already had their conversations. Like this is a non-issue to them. It's kind of like, how do we move on from here? That's
Yep.
it. Like let's just like, we're not
Yep.
gonna address it, forget it, let's just go on, right?
You
So
move on from it. You
yeah,
put
that's
on
it.
good wrestling shows because
Yeah.
that's what they did last time, and they'll
Yeah.
keep doing that. So I'm not that concerned. Yep.
CM Punk.
Speaking of good wrestling shows, do you have any? Well, before we get to that, do we need to do a dirt sheet this week, or
No,
was this
the
dirt
biggest
sheety enough?
thing was this. This was it. Like that was
Okay,
what
so
I had
let's
to talk
crawl
about.
out of the big pit, and there's some AEW wrestling that happened this week beyond Dynamite.
Yeah, a quick story. I went to this gaming convention downtown Toronto this weekend at the exhibition place,
Mm-hmm.
and went in with my buddy, and we're walking around, and I'm wearing my Kenny Omega t-shirt. Um, and this guy, one of the vendors, he just keeps staring at my t-shirt. Like he sees me walk up, and he's like, I see him looking at the t-shirt, and then he goes, "Hey man, did you get tickets to the to the show?" I'm like, yeah. I go. They were released like 2 days earlier. He's like, I know. He said he was getting. I go, did you get tickets? He's like, luckily I got tickets. They're all sold out now. But he's like, yeah. He goes, luckily someone pinged me and said, by the way, they're up on Ticketmaster. Go get them. And it was fun, just like meshing. He's like, you're excited? I'm like, dude, Kenny Omega, man. That's all I gotta say. He's like, yeah. As you said, he's the god of pro wrestling. So
Yes,
Kenny Omega.
indeed.
But that
Yep.
was my one quick story that I wanted to tell for
Excellent. No,
wrestling.
that's a good story because I suspect there'll be more and more of that as we get closer to
Mm-hmm.
Forbidden Door. So
So AEW from last week. Let's talk about AEW. So Elevation, jump to Elevation quickly.
mm-hmm.
One match that I have to recommend out of there, well, a couple of them, but one match, the first match I should say, is the comedy match. I call it Jason Geiger versus Brandon Cutler. Brandon Cutler just like playing the role almost like he was born for. Like, yeah, I get the Dungeons and Dragons thing, but I just like this funny role so much better. He's so ridiculous as like the lackey for the elite, and his matches are fun. They're absolutely fun. This Jason Geiger guy was pretty good, but like, I'm not gonna say it's like there was no distractions. It's just that Cutler just put on a match, and the moves he did kind of just worked. Like this little spinning move he does, where he just gets dizzy with the guy and ends up falling on top of the guy. I was just laughing throughout the entire match. So that was it was a pretty funny match.
You mean the airplane spin?
The airplane spin. He just spins and spins, and
Yeah,
he puts them down and
and they
kind of
both fall
falls
over.
onto
Yeah.
them. But he's good. I like Brandon Cutler. Next up, Matt Hardy, Ethan Page, Isiah Kassidy versus Massive Damage, Mo Jabari, and Sebastian Wolfe. Fun match. Fun, these like Ethan Page, Hardy, and Cassidy have found their groove, right? They're a fun team to watch. Like it
Mm-hmm.
almost feels like Page is a good guy at this point. It's really weird because at the entrance, he stopped the music because he obviously they're in Winnipeg, and he said I don't have to introduce this guy. This is Matt Hardy, and then Matt Hardy kind of said delete, and everyone said. Then he's like, but I want to introduce this guy, and he introduces Isiah Kassidy because he's like he doesn't know if the Canadians know this, but as he was doing it, someone told him to shut up. And he's like, no, you shut up. He goes, be more Canadian, right? Right.
Wait.
And he said,
Isiah Cassidy's Canadian?
no. He said this
Oh,
other guy. Ethan Page was saying this. So then he passed out
oh,
the
okay.
mic on to Isiah Kassidy. Isiah Kassidy did his little gimmick, but he added A to the end of it, as per Ethan Page. They went ahead and had it because now Ethan Page dances down to the Hardy's music too. It's so ridiculous. But they've got some
Nice.
pretty cool like trios moves. I like how they wrestle. So fun match, Athena versus Taylor Rising. Another good match. Athena just with her kind of mean person, like she's a total heel. This is the best Athena I've seen in a while. Good match. And then the varsity athletes versus Dark Order. Dark Order they're so good, man. Like it's I'm talking about John Silver and Alex Reynolds. They're such a great tag team. I'm so happy that Stu's back, so Stu and Uno can do their tag as well. But
Wait. Did you see Being the Elite?
no, I didn't watch it.
Oh, okay. So that you've got the Dark Order in a room,
Mhm.
and they're talking about like their 5 minute stuff, going through stuff. The Stu's not
Yeah.
there, right?
Mhm.
Right, and they're like just going over how happy they are that Stu's back, and then there's all this noise out in the hall. They're like, "You guys keep it down out there. We're trying to have a meeting." Blah blah. Right. It was Stu getting beaten down outside, and they thought it was just people making noise in the hall. This explains why they didn't come to rescue Stu.
This explains a lot, these
Yes.
guys. But I love how being the elite ties it all together. Even though I hate the Kara storylines there, I love how it adds just a little sprinkle of
Mm-hmm.
why weren't they there?
Oh,
Oh, they were filming a
yes.
segment.
And on Beretta breaks the rules this week, he steals the ambulance that Hangman Page stole. Oh, it
with
was so good.
it was it with the Hollywood hunk daring him to do it. It's like, dare.
Of
He's like, no,
course.
don't do it. Okay, I dare to do it. No, don't do it. But yeah, no, the actual main event was pretty awesome for Elevation. Then Dark, I guess because Juice and Ricky are gonna be fighting eventually. Who knows when? I don't know. I don't understand that build. Juice is back on Dark again against Leon Ruffin. If you guys remember Leon Ruffin, he's been
Mm-hmm.
on Dark a lot. Pretty good match. This match actually went on for like almost 10 minutes, so they got some good time in here. Juice
Good
just
for
being
Dark.
Juice just being Juice as usual. No, but this
Mm-hmm.
episode of Dark was only like 40 minutes. It wasn't really long. So Juice being Juice, like Leon put on a good show. He's a pretty good wrestler. Like, but I mean, like Juice, obviously, like he's really good. Juice is really good, but and for some reason only wrestles on Dark for some reason. But a good match. Then they had the Iron Savages versus the Wingmen, which was kind of a comedy match, but kind of a big guy match because the Iron Savages are really big and Cesar Bonone is like big as well. But like, I forget. I think it was I forget the Iron Savage name, but he did one of those Tower of Doom spots where he picked up both of them at the same time and did like a slam. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, Iron Savages was Bear Country, right?
They're Bear Country, yeah. Now they're
Yes.
Iron Savages. So like Bear Bronson and the other Bear, but now they're just Bronson and I forget the guy's name.
Yes.
But yeah, so that was a pretty good match. The Renegades versus Mafosa and Avery Bro, that's her name. Renegades, like this is the Renegades show why AEW needs a tag team women's division because they're really good and they have a lot of tag teams and like I don't know if they're really sisters in real life, but they are really good as a tag team. Like they play that heel roll up so well, and they're I'm not gonna lie, they're better than some of the wrestlers that are currently wrestling on the main roster. So I don't understand why they're not wrestling on the main roster, but
yeah.
we'll let that one slide. And then the main event, Tony Storm versus Billy Starks. Storm goes in obviously with the hard hits. Billy Starks, who's had a pretty good run recently. If you don't remember, this is the girl who broke Breaker's nose again. She had that good match with what's her name? Oh my god. Emi Sakura and she fought, I forget the other one as well. I think it was Yuka. I think she fought Yuka, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably.
And now she's fighting Tony Storm, so she's had a pretty good run. Pretty good match. Like Billy came out strong. Like she looked great. One thing I learned about Billy Stark this weekend, Bill, you'll be proud of this. She went to her prom. So people were posting, "Hey, AEW should sign Billy Starks when she graduates from high school."
This explains why she was wrestling Emi Sakura, right?
Yeah, I was shocked. I'm like, she's wrestling all of these like top people in AEW, like the women's division. I'm like, why? And then I'm like, no way, she's 18. And then I looked it up, and Billy Starks, the 18-year-old who wrestles like she's been wrestling for like 10 years at least. Like she's good. She
started training at the age of 13 apparently, and has wrestled in 23 states.
Oh wow, good for her. She's doing a great job. Like I'm with some of the fans. I'm like, hey, maybe you sign her, Tony, like when she finishes high school. But
she's been to Japan.
That explains a lot. That actually explains a lot. Good on her. But yeah, good match. Tony Storm and versus Starks. Obviously, Tony Storm wins that match because she's not going to lose against Billy Starks. And then the Rampage roundup quickly. Penta versus Hobbs. I mean, good match. A lot of distractions that, again, I guess it comes with the QTV or whatever you want to call it. Penta always, I do blame some of it for Penta for showboating. Like, that's all it is. I was reading somewhere, someone wrote, so now that they beat, so now the Hobbs beat Ray and Penta, is he going to challenge their parents now because he beat their brothers? I challenge your father, right? But no, it was a good match. Like it was obviously not as good as the Phoenix match versus Hobbs, but come on,
right?
Come on. I gave Phoenix the wrestler of the week last week, so let's be real.
Yes, and would it not make sense though? I mean, 2 out of 3 members of Death Triangle have now been beaten.
Yes, correct. I do have a feeling Pac is on his way back, which would be an awesome Pac versus Hobbs. Oh yeah, my goodness, what a match! Question for you, Bill: where is Wardlow? Is he hurt or something?
Who?
Where is this guy?
Oh no, his identity was stolen. He's busy in government lineups trying to prove that his identity's back. Remember? He's had everything stolen from his passport's gone. Maybe they stranded him in some country somewhere, right? Who knows? He's rotting in like a Venezuelan prison or something.
They stole his identity. Yeah, I forgot. Then the match that I put on here as well is like I put Jake Hager versus Brody King, which was a good match for the big guys. It was okay. I mean, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't the greatest. We had a returning Anna Jay. She's back now.
Yes.
Apparently, I don't know if you guys heard, but there was a house show recently that things kind of went sideways. But anyways, whatever. Anna Jay's back.
I did not hear. Please explain.
Yeah. So apparently there's recordings online. So there's a house show where a match between Anna Jay and Britt Baker went sideways. Apparently, the entire match looked off. People posted online and have been asked by AEW to take it down. So that doesn't sound great. Yeah. Apparently there were a lot of botches, a lot of misses. From the description, it said it looked like they were almost doing a dance, but not in the way that Kenny and the Bucks would do, like a, you know what I mean? Like it's free flowing. Like it seemed like there were a lot of stops and like they didn't know what they were gonna do.
Right, right.
So one of the we've kind of seen this before. So yeah. Apparently it was bad enough that the fans actually recorded and posted it. Right.
Oh wow.
So that was what introduced. That's like, whoa, okay, that's crazy. But yeah. So Anna's back. You know what? We like Anna Jay. We're happy she's back and not like totally destroyed after that power bomb.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, it looks like, I guess it's good because if you are gonna do a JAS versus the House of Black, they have Giulia Hart on here, right? So why not have one of the girls from the JAS come out, because I think Ty is still injured, right? So yeah, so she'll be out for a while. So hey, you know what? Give her some reps, let them do their matches. Giulia's been on Dark a couple times and she looks pretty good. So I mean that's good. But yeah, so this match was okay. I mean, I didn't hate it, but I also didn't love it.
Right.
But what I've learned from Rampage is there isn't a lot to love sometimes.
Right. Well, I mean, like look at the plot elements though that you got on Rampage this week, right? I mean, speaking of having it, Swerve is getting a new affiliate.
Well, that was so I had that on my list. I said Swerve was back to remind us of his feud with Keith Lee. And I wrote down, do we still care about this feud with Keith Lee?
I forgot it was happening.
Yeah, same.
To be honest, I was like, oh yeah,
Keith Lee. Yeah, Keith Lee has come back with gray hair for some odd reason. I don't understand why. Something about body imaging again. I'm like, Keith, what are you talking about? No one's talking about any of that stuff. And he's tagging with Dustin, who, if you notice, I didn't mention on this. They actually had a match on Dark, and I didn't care for it.
Whatever.
And I'm like, is this to progress the story with Swerve, which probably should have happened at the last pay-per-view, and AEW dropped the ball, so no one cares about it. No one cares right now. So you can have it at the next pay-per-view, but no one cares.
Like, I forgot all about Swerve and his affiliates. Yeah. You know, I'm like, oh yeah, Swerve.
Where's Trench?
I know, like, gee.
Where's Parker Boudreaux and Trench?
Exactly. Trench. The and of course the breaking news on Rampage too. Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett hate referees.
Okay, so I saw that. But yes, they hate referees because they don't understand why the referees won't let them cheat. Okay, listen. I'm not the biggest I'm not the biggest Jeff Jarrett fan. Okay, I'm really not, and I don't need to see him wrestle. But little segments like these, I appreciate, because you know what? They're a bit original. Yeah, why won't you let them cheat? Why not?
Yeah, come on, man.
This is where I think AEW shines, because they're not afraid of sometimes breaking that like fourth wall or whatever, right? Like breaking kayfabe just a little bit, because it's always the referees never see the cheating happening, but apparently all they see is they're cheating, which I think is absolutely hilarious. But and you don't really need Sad, I'm saying, but I mean like this is what I like about them. I don't need Jarrett to wrestle. I need Lethal to wrestle, and everything is good. Everything is good. But I'll give Jarrett credit for his age. He wrestles a lot better than a lot of people.
He wrestles better than I do.
Yeah, he wrestles better than I do. Okay, let's be real here. So but no, I did have that. And then again, the last match was the Acclaim versus the Kingdom. It was good. But like again, where did I miss something? Where did this match come from? Did the Acclaim challenge? So they challenged them in Ring of Honor?
There was something that happened in Ring of Honor that I don't know.
Oh yes.
From the
tapings. Yeah.
I didn't see it because I haven't been watching the Ring of Honor stuff. So.
I haven't been watching it either. But I mean, like, okay. If these things are happening and these matches are taking place, I get the 20 year strap for time, but then get some time to show a build up. So this is what happened. Because I'm like, why is this match happening? Then they quickly showed it. I'm like, oh, do I have to care about this stuff still? I don't really care about this
I care
stuff.
more about Matt Menard and Angelo Parker taking the Acclaimed out on the town, man.
That is gonna be at, on the town on the JAS money.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
So that is going to be at like, and this is what I mean. And I'm sorry for going back to CM Punk thing. Look at what Jericho's done for all of these guys.
Exactly.
All of these guys who would have been stuck on dark, not doing anything,
Mm-hmm.
trying their gimmicks, not succeeding.
Yep.
Look what Jericho's done for every single one of these guys and
Yep.
girls. I should say,
Mm-hmm.
and girls too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I'm sorry, like CM Punk, I don't believe you. I apologize. I don't believe anything you're saying. But
Mm-hmm.
back to the wrestling itself. Um, it was a good week in AEW. Obviously, there was a match that stuck out, which we'll get to when I
Mm-hmm.
give my thing. But overall, good week.
Cool. Yeah, no, there was some good stuff. I
Hmm.
like that. Yeah, and I agree with you though. Did anything even come close to Kenny Omega
No,
versus Elio Del
no,
Vikingo?
nope.
I'm gonna safely say, I mean, it's going to be pretty obvious what our match of the week is by the end of this, I think, because nothing that I found in Japan this week beat it either. But I would like to point out before I even get going with my Japan report,
Hmm.
I have not been able to watch either New Blood Premium, which featured Waka's, and I have not gone into the spoilers, so I don't know what happens. Please, no one tell me what happened. Waka and Tam versus Kairi and Nene Takahashi, possibly Waka's last match in Stardom. I have no idea what happened. And yesterday was the first day of the Cinderella tournament. I have no idea what happened on any of the matches in that either. But when it goes up on Stardom World, I will be reporting on it. It's just not up. They're behind, eh? Like they had
Mm.
so many shows to put up recently. They're literally behind in putting stuff up. They're still back in like March 19th. So
Oh,
yeah, it's I've never seen them this far behind before. They must be pretty busy. Anyway, the but to get to actual stuff rather than me complaining that I want the more recent stuff up on Stardom World, the finals for the New Japan Cup happened. And we did, in fact, see Sonata beat David Finlay to win a chance at Okada's IWGP World Heavyweight title at Sakura Genesis. The match was pretty good. It was pretty solid match. I'm saying, hey, if you like good matches with some good moves in it, then check this out. It's not bad. I'm not going to say it's a must see match or
yeah.
anything like that, but yeah, it was pretty damn solid. Sonata's a good wrestler. David Finlay's a good wrestler. So, I mean, it was a good match. But now we get Sonata versus Okada. I kind of like, okay, fine. Like, the interesting thing, though, I learned is I didn't know this about New Japan, but it makes a lot of sense. You see, New Japan is a gate company, meaning that they don't, like, you know how in AEW and WWE it's all about the TV rights,
Hmm.
all about the television. New Japan doesn't have a TV show really, right? They're
Yeah.
all about the live gate. They make their money off their live gates, which means they
Hmm.
really need to put together events that attract the Japanese audience into their arenas,
Fair enough.
right?
Yeah.
So it's yeah. So you're going to get a lot more Sonatas versus Okadas rather than David Finlay versus Okada. Now there are, of course, some Gaijin who break through and manage to draw money, like Kenny Omega, for example. And but Kenny Omega will draw money anywhere.
Anyway.
Kenny Omega would draw money on the moon. But that should actually be part of his entrance at some point. But yeah, anyway, it's just I just found that very interesting. The because I hadn't really dawned on me that when we're talking about who do we think is going to win a New Japan match, we have to take into account their booking
Yeah.
for the live audience.
Fair.
Period. Right. So anyway, Hiromu Takahashi defended his junior heavyweight title against Leo Rush. Also, I would recommend this match. This was a good match. There's a lot of high flying. I mean, it's Leo Rush, right? And Hiromu Takahashi is also very good in the ring. There's a lot of good high flying stuff. I mean, Hiromu, of course, was going to win this match. I didn't see Leo taking the title off of him, but really solid stuff. A lot of good. You'd probably enjoy this match. A lot of good high flying stuff, that kind of thing. I mean, probably would have pegged it around 4 stars. Meltzer gave it a little higher than that, but yeah, no, solid match. And at the end of it, Zack Saber Jr. came out because, of course, Hiromu needs his next challenger for, for I don't know if this is for Sakura Genesis or not, but he came out. Zack Saber Jr. was they noted, dude, you can't do this. You're not a junior heavyweight, and
Hmm.
he said, no, it's not why I'm here. He calls out the newest member of TMDK, which was Robbie Eagles, who has quit Chaos to join TMDK. Robbie Eagles, Will Ospreay's former tag partner.
Oh, okay.
So yes, a high flyer, and so that should be actually a really good match. Robbie Eagles is pretty darn solid, yeah, and it's at Sakura Genesis. And that brings me to the fact that the Sakura Genesis card at April 8th at Sumo Hall is now put together. We have the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, Kazuchika Okada defending against Sanada. Takahashi there versus Robbie Eagles for the Junior Heavyweight Championship. We've got Bishamon, Hiroki Goto, and Yoshihashi defending their IWGP Heavyweight Tag Championship against Aussie Open. Go Aussie Open. And we have the World Television Champion, Zack Sabre Jr. is facing Shota Umino, who beat him in their last match. And we have the IWGP Women's Championship. Mercedes Moné is defending against Azumi and Hazuki, both of whom should kick her ass. Can I just see Azumi versus Suzuki for the IWGP Women's Championship? And there's, the usual slew of tag matches that I will not go into. I mentioned that comment because another match I'm going to talk about today is the match from Battle in the Valley from San Jose. Kairi, champion, taking on Mercedes Moné for the IWGP Women's Championship. There was an incredibly long dance sequence to open this match from like Mercedes Moné's dancers. And when I'm like, is she actually going to come out, or are these people just going to stand here and dance for like 20 minutes? I don't know. Anyway, she finally came out. She was wearing a Hana Kimura inspired outfit. It was kind of over top of her usual gear. Anyway, the announcers remind us though that she has been training in Mexico, which was relevant to the match. So the crowd begins chanting, "This is awesome," before the match even starts. Kairi, of course, did her usual long, extravagant entrance, but they started chanting, "This is awesome," before the match even started. I'm looking at it going, "Is it though? Is it?" Yeah. So anyway, Mercedes did okay in this match. She look. I'm going to try to spin the positives on it first. Okay. One, she tried hard. Okay. She clearly did go and train in Mexico, and she added some stuff I've never seen her try before in a match, like a springboard arm drag and stuff. It was like, oh wow, I've never seen her do that before. Right. And she did okay at those moves. It's clear that she's not practiced in them, but I mean, let's see the match itself. I mean, there was some good stuff in it. There was a good table spot where Kairi power bombed Mercedes Moné through a table, but this was after the ref accidentally got cutlassed by Kairi when Mercedes pulled the ref between them because Mercedes wrestled as the heel in full-on boss style. Okay, so, and it became clear as the match went on, she was peeling off the Hana Kimura stuff and was back down to her regular ring gear by the end of the match. So I thought it was kind of an interesting transformation to, hey, I'm honoring this person who inspired me to. Screw that, I'm the boss. I'm sorry, the CEO. My bad. I have seen Kairi put on much better matches. The end came when Kairi was going for the insane elbow and Mercedes got her legs up. And there was a story in the whole match where essentially Mercedes was going after Kairi's arm to prevent her from like doing her usual moves and to soften her up for her own move. I mean, so she went for it. Okay, goes for the insane elbow. Mercedes gets her boots up into Kairi's arm. Mercedes goes to the top, then goes for a frog splash, the Eddie Guerrero one after she had attempted the Three Amigos earlier with the worst shimmy I've ever seen anyone do. Like, look, seriously, you might be able to shimmy better than she did in that. I don't know what's going on. She got two of them off, and the Kairi DDT'd her to oblivion on the third one. It was pretty cool. I mean, there were some cool spots in this match, most of them thanks to Kairi. But anyway, she goes for the frog splash. This is a segment where Kairi's supposed to put her knees up. Mercedes clearly was not targeted on Kairi's stomach when she did the frog splash. Okay, so literally, Kairi had to kind of bend her knees slightly because Mercedes was landing on her legs. Okay, like it was clearly supposed to be a knees. And look, I credit the announcers, man, because every time, and like there was another point too where Mercedes did like her Meteora off the top onto like a hanging Kairi or double stomp, sorry, not a Meteora. it was so obvious to me from the angle they were on that the feet totally missed her head and totally missed her. I mean, it was just she stomped on nothing and Kairi sold it, right? It was just, you know how you can do that move where it actually looks like you kind of actually hit the person.
Mm-hmm.
Total miss, total miss. But the announcers are like, oh my God, you just stomped her in that. I mean, credit to the announcers for their efforts to sell some of this stuff. But it's very clear to me that Mercedes Moné wrestled in WWE. Her mannerisms are great. Her emotions look good, but they also look practiced. Part
Okay.
of my problem with this match, and let me finish it first, I guess. Kairi locks on a crossface after that, after she got the knees up. They roll on the floor a bit, like in pinning maneuvers, and then Mercedes hits her, whatever you want, the money maker, I guess she's calling it, out of nowhere, and pins Kairi for the 3, winning the title. Now, Kairi looked good, but I've seen her look better. The match didn't suck. Okay, I'm not going to
Okay.
say that this match sucked. It definitely didn't suck. There were parts in it that were solid. It would have been phenomenal on the old NXT. Like if I'd seen this match like 7 years ago watching
Mm-hmm.
women's wrestling, I would have been like, oh my God, this was like the best match ever. I have seen so much better than this recently. So much better than this. I don't understand why this match got the accolades it did. The storytelling was good, but it wasn't insane. Their facial expressions were good, but I never got that sense of real
Yeah.
passion out of Mercedes Moné. Like it just, she looks practiced. Right, I would have given the match 3.5 stars. Some good spots, but then there was some like, those are slaps, Sasha. Like, I'm sorry, Mercedes. Those are slaps. Because Kairi wailed on her, and then she turned her around in like classic Japanese style, goes to hit her, and it was just like smink. I'm like, that was a slap? Seriously? Like, I'm so used to seeing them just wail on each other now, right? No, no. But yeah, Mercedes cut a promo after the match too. With it, she, you know what she sounds like? A much better, smoother Jade Cargill.
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, she's good at promos. Like she learned and she knows how to like emote to the crowd and build things up, and her presence is great. But the wrestling, eh, she was good. I'm not going to say it sucked. It didn't suck. 3.5 stars is not terrible. But I went into this match knowing the accolades it got, right? This was not at all Kairi versus Mayu Iwatani for that original title. Like that match was insane. This match, not so much. Okay, I'm going to give it credit. It was better than Kairi versus Tam Nakano for the 5 minutes they had. It's 5 minutes. This match got 26 minutes, people. Anyway, if you want to see the match, go right ahead. It's on New Japan Strong on Demand now. But I'm not going to go out and say it's highly recommended or anything. I would check it out merely for curiosity of seeing Mercedes back in a ring. I can't wait for her to lose that title to Mayu Iwatani in a few weeks. So yes, it's too bad Hazuki and Izumi are not going to beat her for it because that would have been pretty damn great too. Because you know what I'd really like? I want Hazuki to win the belt. And I want Hazuki to face Mayu Iwatani for it because that match will be freaking insane. But I'm not hyped as much for Mercedes Moné taking on Mayu Iwatani as I am for Hazuki versus Mayu Iwatani. So anyway, Krishna, I promised you last week I would do this, right? We must continue the Himeka retirement
That's
road.
right.
That's right. My matches this week are from Himeka's retirement road. I will go through them fairly quickly. But on March 11th, Meltear, Tam Nakano, and Natsupoi faced MaiHime, Maika, and Himeka, and they had a solid match. I enjoyed this one quite a bit. There was a nice double delayed vertical suplex by MaiHime. They, of course, opened up beating down Natsupoi because that's just kind of how Meltear matches seem to roll. Tam took them on both at the same time, though, like doing a nice rolling arm drag, drop kick to both at the same time. Yeah, it was really good. Meltear hit a great looking double plancha to MaiHime on the floor at one point. There was a really good mirror segment Meltear did where they were doing thrust kicks to the back of the head and bridging the Germans that just looked really cool. And they did it so well timed. Big Tower of Doom spot. The ending came when Himeka power bombed Natsupoi off the turnbuckle. She's doing this running power bomb as a finisher right now, where she takes the person up through and then runs across and smashes them down and pins them. And she's a pretty big girl, so it looks. And I mean, she doesn't hold back on the slamming the person into the mat. So it looks pretty damn vicious, and she pinned her for 3. It's important though that this was the finish of this match. I would say this match was really good. I give this 3.5 stars, but this is 3.5 good stars for a shorter match, not 3.5. Wow, everyone thought this was awesome and it was okay stars. So this is a good 3.5. See, that's the difference. That's weird, right? Because I would recommend this match. I would say go watch this match because it was a lot of fun and solid wrestling. And the other one I'd be like, eh. So maybe the other one isn't 3.5 stars. Maybe I go back on that and give it 3. I don't know. Anyway, next up we have Himeka taking on Ruaka on March 15th from Takamatsu. Ruaka being a member of Oedo Tai, quite young, bigger girl. She's certainly come a long way in the last year and a half, and this match showed it. It was probably Ruaka's best showing I've seen her in a ring. She even got the advantage early on, and she kept putting Himeka up against the ropes and wrenching on, and then posing with her for the cameras, and it was pretty funny. Classic Oedo Tai stuff though. Himeka finally had a fall away slam though, and some shoulder tackles. I mean, she puts on a like. What I love about Himeka is she puts on the single leg crab. You know, you think single leg crab, you think that's like a lamer version of the Boston crab. But when she
Yeah.
does it, it looks like it's killing the person's leg.
Oh man.
Like the
Okay.
way she does it and sits back on them and stuff, like it actually looks really painful. And the people in it sell it. So it's pretty damn cool when she does it, right? Amazing what some good selling and some actual, like, wrenching on a hold and stuff will do to make it look effective, right? And then Ruaka got better of a strike exchange. They landed a low crossbody against the ropes herself and applied a crossface. And Himeka's selling was great. I mean, she was selling this like she was being destroyed by this crossface, right? I love that kind of stuff. Ruaka hit a great delayed fisherman suplex on Himeka, and Himeka is not small. So this was really impressive from Ruaka, and she did it like picture perfect, pun intended. So yeah, it was really good. But Himeka got the better of a lariat exchange, hit a backdrop driver, seated lariat. I mean, there was so many good stuff, right? I mean, there was classic Oedo Tai distracting the ref. Ruaka nailed Himeka with the case at one point, body slammed her, hit a Ruaka bomb for 2, but Himeka moved out of the way of the freezer bomb, hit a huge boot, a lariat, then set Ruaka up on the turnbuckle, and guess what? Running power bomb and gets the win for 3. Really good match. Ruaka looked great. Like I said, one of her best matches. Himeka was strong. I'd give this one also 3.5 stars, and I would recommend it above the Mercedes Moné and Kairi match too. So, yeah, I'm starting to think I overrated it at 3.5 stars because both these matches I enjoyed more than that match. So, then March 16th, Himeka versus Giulia. See, now we're getting into it. So, Giulia's new music, by the way, I think I mentioned this before. I'm gonna say it every time she goes, it sucks. It is terrible. I don't know why they went away from that really grand, like, orchestration and then the heavy guitar and stuff, right? They went away from like really cool theme to this that sounds like an Italian fashion runway theme. I'm like, what the hell? Right? It's not regal. It's not like anyway. I'm not going to spend the next 20 minutes going off about Giulia's theme music, but it does suck. However, it's not as bad as Mina Shirakawa's polka music. So anyway, they of course shake hands to start being stablemates. They went at it hard, like stiff strikes. Himeka coming out on top with a big shoulder tackle, body slam. Of course, the single leg crab, fall away slam. Giulia locked a Cristo on Himeka at one point on the turnbuckle, but then Himeka picked her up, and they had this awkward fall off the turnbuckle. Like it kind of looked like a bit of a botch. It looked like that Giulia was going to go for a sunset flip, like power bomb off the thing to pin her. But what ended up happening is they kind of got caught in the ropes and flipped off to the side and fell. But then Giulia just like pinned, like immediately got up and pinned Himeka. But it also looked realistic because it's totally something that could happen with two people on the ropes like that, right? Like both of them going for moves. And I don't know why it doesn't happen more often. They both fell off the ropes, right? But I mean, if it was a botch, oops, it happens, but they covered it up really fast. If it wasn't, that was pretty cool because it was also very realistic. But they went back and forth hard. Giulia hit like a Northern Lights driver. Himeka came back with 2 lariats in that high angle. And she kind of does a thing where she does almost a lion tamer Boston crab and then transitions it into the single leg crab, and then she transitioned back to an actual Boston crab on Giulia. Like it was really cool. She nailed an Argentine sit out face buster at one point, which was just ouch. They exchanged headbutts, and I mean headbutts.
Okay.
Yeah, and both go down. And Himeka, though, when they got up, they slapped the hell out of each other. But Himeka caught Giulia on the turnbuckle and nails the running power bomb, and Giulia kicks out. This move that has been putting everyone else away. Of course, Giulia kicks out. She came back with a
Nice.
backdrop driver. Himeka sprang up. She hits a forearm and a big kneel and a glorious driver. But Himeka rolls through the pin for a 2 count. Then she hits a running knee on Giulia. Giulia hit another backdrop driver and another glorious driver, but Himeka kicks out again. She then hit a Death Valley driver for the 3. This match was outstanding. I mean, lots of hard hitting moves. I'm not surprised at all that Giulia won. With the exception of that little botch on the turnbuckle. And even it, like I said, looked realistic. Solid match, 3 3/4 stars. I would have given it 4 that little botch thing hadn't happened. So great job. This match was really good. And after the match, of course, there was the whole respect thing between Himeka, and it was kind of funny because Giulia got a mic and says, when Himeka said that she was retiring, she was like, "Oh, don't play with me," right? But then Himeka told her she has no regrets, and it's sunk in now, and she wants to give Himeka the best retirement road possible. Also, to help Krishna Denai, I have to listen to Himeka's retirement road every week. So she said, she's glad Himeka was part of DDM and Stardom, and she thanks her for all, and then she bows to her. But Himeka gets the mic, and she says, the person, if you asked her who she has the most fond memories of in Stardom, it's Maika. And she goes, but if you ask me who I admire the most, I'd say Giulia. She says when she came to Stardom, she joined DDM. She will leave Stardom with DDM. Her memories in Stardom are DDM memories. And then Giulia says, well, hey, you've still got a couple more months. Let's all remember Himeka's retirement road and give her a great send up. Couple more months, Krishna.
Yep. Couple more months.
More on Himeka's retirement road next week. So that's what happened in Japan this week. I would say any of those Himeka matches were solid. I mean, she's putting on some good stuff right now. So yeah, I'd recommend any of those. So check them out. Of course, I'd recommend almost anything Stardom, but you know me. So that brings us then to the easiest part of this show entirely, our match of the week.
Yeah, it's going to be Kenny Omega versus Vikingo. I mean, it's no brainer. I think it was matches of the week for most, wrestling review sites or whatever. It was such a great match, great showing for Vikingo. But as you pointed out, like a lot of that had to do with Kenny Omega, right? So I thought, it was so good that again, I thought it should have been on the week before in Winnipeg. That would have been a great showing for Kenny. But again, I don't know this. Where was it again? It was in
Minneapolis? No,
Minneapolis. Yeah,
somewhere like that.
Yeah, and apparently that's where Kenny has a lot of his great matches. So yeah, that
Oh yes,
easily,
he's undefeated there, right?
Yeah, easily my match of the week.
Right. Yeah, it was from Missouri, Independence, Missouri. Yes. And obviously my match of the week too. And I mean, even more so because, I listened to Meltzer talk about Kenny Omega, right? Which of course we all know he has great love for, as he should, because Kenny Omega is the god of wrestling. And how Kenny was wrestling totally out of his style on this. And it was something totally, because Kenny's not a luchador.
No.
But he acted as a luchador base for everything Vikingo did in a way that was just like stellar and perfect, and the timing was there, and to get that kind of timing down is exceptional. These are little things I wouldn't necessarily have realized myself watching it, right? But someone like Meltzer, who knows wrestling so well, pointing that kind of stuff out just made this match even better to me. And he did call it the greatest TV match AEW has ever put on.
I heard.
Yes, but he also said he didn't like it as much as the Iron Man match between Bryan Danielson and MJF. Which I have to say, Dave, you're wrong.
You're wrong. Exactly.
Wrong. This match blew that one out of the water. But of course, Krishna and I like these flippy, jumpy types of matches. And anything with Kenny Omega, of course, is already going to get a notch up simply because God of pro wrestling. That's now, right. All of that said, I have a very quick surprise edition of Guess the Stars. How many stars do you think Dave Meltzer gave this match?
4.75 stars.
You are wrong.
Oh my God. What do
He
you give
gave
it?
it 5.
Okay. I was like, do I go 5? But then he's saying it's not as good as the
Yeah, but that
Danielson
match he
match.
gave like freaking 6 and some
Oh
odd
yes, that's
stars or
right. That's
whatever,
right.
right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. Okay.
Yes. So, this one was only 5.
Whatever, Dave. Whatever.
This is the problem with breaking the 5-star scale too, right? Like I'm never gonna
Yeah.
break it. There's just a lot of matches that are at that 5-star level to
Yeah.
me, right? Like let's just try to compare them, right? Let's just try. You know what wasn't at the 5-star level? Mercedes Moné versus Kairi. Oh, anyway. Um, this brings us, of course, to our wrestler of the week.
Yeah, so my rest of the week, I'm actually not gonna give it to Kenny Omega. I'm giving it to Vikingo. First time I've seen him wrestle. Um, he was fantastic. And I know a lot of it owed to Kenny Omega as well, but hey, Kenny's probably gonna win Wrestler of the Year. So really, Kenny, don't worry. You're still gonna get it. But like Vikingo, like this guy, the moves he was doing, like sometimes when you think he was doing a backflip, he'd do a front flip and vice versa and stuff like that. And I'm like, he's connecting, and Kenny's going with a lot of the hurricanranas and stuff like that were
Mm.
happening. That what was it? The 650 or 620, whatever he did when he kind of
You just
like,
have to multiply 90
yeah,
by a number and you get the
yeah,
number. It's
where
90
he kind of
times
just
something.
like he stopped and then he ran to the ropes and then did the flip and then the Phoenix splash
630.
630, then the Phoenix splash from outside. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
bro, this guy is so good. So
Yes.
yeah, Vikingo, you're gonna get my wrestler of the week.
Well, that's really good because I mean he was spectacular showing, absolutely spectacular showing. It's a very good pick for wrestler of the week. But Kenny, I got your back, man. I got your back because there's no way I'm not giving Kenny Omega wrestler of the week. 1, battle cry. 2,
That's right.
the intro. 3, how awesome is it that he just decides to go, I'm going to get one match to make Vikingo an absolute star. And what did he do? What did you just talk about?
Made him a star. So he did.
Made him a star. He's now a household name to AEW fans
Yep.
because he had a match with Kenny
Kenny.
freaking Omega.
Oh
Not like
my
Seth freaking Rollins. Kenny, oh my God, Omega.
god.
Exactly. He had a match with Kenny Omega, who worked outside of his own comfort zone to have this match. Although, let's face it, I figure anything in a pro wrestling ring is in Kenny
Is
Omega's comfort zone.
yeah.
But I mean, taking those moves, trusting the guy to that point, putting on the show he did, and to just create a match that is absolute magic that we are going to be mentioning in all likelihood at the end of the year when we're going through the matches we thought were some of the matches of the year, right? I mean, it's going to be hard pressed to take this out of the top 10 because
Yeah.
right now, for me, it is the number 3 match of the year. And for you, it might even be closer to 2.
Yeah.
So, because you haven't seen Hazuki versus Saya Nagata. Um, so
Well, who
yes,
knows? Who knows? Bill, I mean, Kenny Omega is facing Jeff Cobb this week, right? So
Jeff Cobb's good. I mean, for a big,
exactly.
he's got that
That's what I'm
he's that
saying.
big guy who can actually wrestle. So
It
that's gonna
begins.
I'm gonna love that match, right? I bet you money I'm gonna love that match. And the fact that he's taking on one of the members of the United Empire, and when that match I was like, I forgot to mention that last week because Jeff Cobb called him out during the New Japan show, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was quick, but he was just like he wants Kenny Omega. So yeah, that's why he's here. So it is starting. The door is slowly opening. But yes, Kenny Omega, the god of pro wrestling, is in fact my wrestler of the week.
Good choice. Good
I think
choice.
every time I choose Kenny Omega, Krishna will always say, good choice. Because you could technically pick Kenny almost
Yeah.
every week.
You can. You definitely can. And now that the Bucks are, well, who knows what's gonna happen Wednesday? The Bucks were injured and Kenny's now wrestling. United Empire is back. Like, what do the Bucks do? Oh, so
I
many
know,
things.
I know. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. But that will have to wait until Wednesday because it is unfortunately time for us to go. And as the great one himself always says, goodbye, everybody. Mwah, and good night. Bang.
Good night, everyone.